Hello my beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new, my name is Nelly. Today I'm going to be talking about the book of Esther. Just a quick overview of the book of Esther. We see a powerful king of Persia banishing his queen Vashti, for failing to appear before him. When I look at the story, in some way I can get to understand Vashti. She just didn't want to embarrass herself in front of a bunch of drunkards. I mean, they've been drinking for quite a while, for some days. So can you imagine being exposed in front of drunk men? Like not just one, hundreds of them that were invited. She had her own party as well with the women. I believe she was beautiful. That's why the king wanted to show her off in front of a guest. But by saying no, it was an embarrassment to the king. So she was banished. She was replaced by Esther, who eventually became the queen. I'm sure you can get to read about the story in the book of Esther. We also see Mordecai, who faced to bow before the king's advisor, Haman. Because he didn't want to bow before him, he gets annoyed. He decides that he's going to plot against all the Jews. Now remember, Esther is brought into the palace by Mordecai. So Mordecai calls on to Esther to warn her that Haman is planning to kill the Jews. Even though she's a queen, she could be killed as well. So basically, Esther told her uncle that she's going to go on a fast and everyone else needs to go on that fast as well, a 3-day fast, for God to intervene on this national matter, on what she's about to do. There was no way Esther could just show up before the king. That was a punishable offense to death. So that is why she decided not to go into this fast first, because she was the only one that would go before the king. Even though she was already in the palace, it wasn't an easy task. So Esther was caught up in this catch-22 situation because of the entire nation of Israel. But she still didn't back off. She had to strategize this moment. Because of her bravery and strategy, the relationship that she had with God, she was able to persuade the king. She thought, okay, the first thing that I need to do is go on a fast and speak to my God with regards to the situation, because I cannot do it alone. After she had finished a 3-day fast, that was the only time when she went to approach the king. In that way, she was able to address the king, and the king was there to listen to whatever that Esther wanted. The king was willing to do that. Eventually, his people were saved, and the enemy who was strategizing all this thing of killing the Jews was hanged. Even up to today, they still celebrate the festival of Purim. So basically, what I've learned from the story is to have courage and faith. She was a perfect example even up to today. This is a woman that applies the word of God and refuses to back off in the face of possible death. You can pray to God and see things change, even for the whole country. This woman understood the principle of the word of God, and she knew that without God nothing is impossible. Esther's bravery and the trust that she had for God helped her to take that risk to save her people. So at times, when you want to save your family, you can just go to God. When you are facing challenges that you know that there's no ways you can get out of those challenges, you can go to God. I also see God's providence here when it comes to this story, even though his name isn't mentioned in the book, but we can detect that his presence was there. God's presence, it actually arranged the circumstances to be accomplished with his own plans, because if God didn't want those circumstances to be accomplished, they would not have been accomplished. Maybe Haman would have continued and killed all those Jews. We don't know. For some reasons, those plans were put to place. God made the king not to be able to sleep for some reason, and he was directed to the specific records where Mordecai's loyalty to the conspiracy that was set for the king. In that way, Mordecai was able to be promoted from who he was. Suddenly, he took over Haman's position. That was God's providence. Often people confuse the providence of God with fate. This is not fate. God was in control here. Even though God is not mentioned in this book, but I still feel like he was in control here. Your life can change overnight, just like Esther. From being a normal person to become a queen, and from a queen to become someone that can change the whole nation, just overnight. So nothing is impossible with God. Anything can change with you as well, just overnight. So another lesson that I see from this book was Esther's wisdom. It was a learning curve from people's mistakes. Sometimes those mistakes that people do, you learn from them. Mordecai was there to guide Esther. She was lucky. Maybe if Vashti had someone to guide her as well, she wouldn't have lost her crown. But of course, she just thought, I'm not going to go out there and parade in front of all those drunk people. I'm a queen. I will stand my ground. Which is nothing wrong if you want to stand your ground. To be honest, as much as she said no, but she felt she was right. She had so much pride within herself. She didn't even think that even though she's going to lose her crown, she felt I'd rather leave the palace than exposing myself in those drunkard people. Mordecai was there for Esther to guide her. And Esther listened to her uncle though as well. Even though she was now a queen, but she still respected her uncle. Wisdom is also needed here, and also to be surrounded with good people. Maybe if Vashti was surrounded by people who were able to correct her, that she was now dishonoring the king, she would have seen her mistake. Maybe her crown was more important to her. What good is a crown if you cannot wear it? We cannot judge her. It's her own decision, and her decision made her to lose a crown. Because of her dishonoring the king, the men also thought, no, this must be a law. She must be removed. You need to punish her and let her go, because our wives will start disrespecting us as well. I guess that was Vashti's fate, that she was going to lose her crown eventually. But when you look at Esther compared to Vashti, she had humility as well. She used her power as a queen to convince the king to get Haman killed, because she knew who she was and how she can address the queen whom she respected. She always waited for the right time, as opposed to the previous queen who lost her place. Vashti forgot who she was, and pride took over her. She forgot that without the king, she wouldn't be a queen. That is why you need to know who you are, without being prideful at the same time. Know who you are. At times we miss the little things in life just because we take people around us for granted, including our spouses. You want to get married, and you do get married to this person that you've always wanted to get married to. A few years down the line, you're disrespecting them. Maybe you've been praying about it, and yet you're not ready, and you think you're ready. You want to have a spouse, and yet you hate cooking. You hate cleaning as well, and you do not want to have children. At times you may get a spouse and fail the test. Just with those little things. Those little things can make you fail the test. Little as it can be, you can lose your crown, just like Vashti. Esther had a place and a purpose in the palace. You have a purpose in this world. She knew her assignment, that she needed to connect to God through fasting and prayer. She was more focused on her people rather than the title that she had. And a lot of people are more focused on themselves rather than helping other people. Just by having that title, you forget who you are. Society is a very painful and unfair justice against women, but you can still do your best, like others who have done their best and are still remembered even up to date. People like Esther in the Bible, for instance. She was a woman like you, just like other women like Mother Teresa, Rosa Parks, Florence Nightingale. The list goes on. Esther made history, and God delivered his people from the plot against them. Haman's motivation and arrogance eventually led him to his downfall and the uprising of Mordecai. At times, be careful what you plan for your enemy. The grave that you dig up for your enemies, you might end up being the one buried in that grave. Just like Haman. Esther was a woman just like you. A woman who loves, trusts, and serves God. That can be you. And what is your relationship with God? The lessons that we are learning from this book can make you that woman that will turn things around for the entire nation. Thank you for listening, and see you in the next video. God bless you.